months to 10 months this year.
Wow.
And how cool can it get in Bahrain in the winter?
8, 10, if we are lucky. If we are lucky. But usually the average is 15, 16.
Yeah.
It's like, spring, yeah, mostly.
Yeah.
Matilda, have I said good morning to you? You reach it? Has you read or has he responded? No. How is it pronounced? Ebisane.
Okay, we are successful now. Muting everyone. Okay. Okay, Biju, I'm handing over the admission to the room to you, if you are here. Emily and Patrick, I'm handing over the admitting people into the room to you.
Okay, that is fine. Sorry, yeah.
A healthy afternoon from the center of the equator, the longitude, latitude 0, Greater Accra region of the African continent. A sunny afternoon. We say Akwaba to all our guests being here. On behalf of the board, we wish to say welcome and feel at home, feel comfortable. You will love it. Today is International Men's Day, and all of us want to say kudos and congrats to all the men holding the fort and spearheading that which it takes to be men and holding the universe as seed givers. So if I can be heard loud and clear, welcome to everyone. Dr. Mongezi, thank you for joining. It's beautiful to have you here. So we go straight into our dialogue. Like we have discussed, that it's going to be a dialogue tapping into the perspective of our great panel, so we can explore issues of men from the men perspective, from male coaches, sharing their experience with male clients, sharing their experience of coaching in about 4 thematic areas. So before I go on, I will want to introduce our panel, and they will do the deeper introduction about who they are, what they do. Then we take it up from there. Thank you. So we have Jan. Your last name, you will help me to pronounce it. So I will just say Jan. He is the ICF chapter president for Norway. Jan, can you give us just something brief about you before we move to the other 2 panel members?
So yes, I'm living in Norway. I am the chapter president on my 5th year. ICF Norway chapter. It's my last year. My term will end next year in May. Really enjoyed it, and my background is from IT, and I worked there on the software side for many years. Now, and then I made a change to let's say coaching and consulting with people instead of technology. And yes, this has been going on for some years. Now I'm a PCC coach, and mostly I do executive leadership coaching, but I also do a bit of training, also change processes. So I combine a little bit of coaching and consulting. Should I also say a little bit about being here today? So first, when I got the invitation, I was a bit anxious, but I was also motivated, simply because many of the topics that are brought up here are themes I haven't reflected too much about, maybe not, at least not consciously. So after a bit of reflection and soul searching, I said yes. And I also realized that I've been a man for most of my adult life. Maybe not all, but most. And perhaps I might have some viewpoints. After about 60 years on this earth, I should have some experience of being a male, at least. So I'm really looking forward to hearing your views, having an exchange, and a good dialogue. And I'm absolutely certain I will learn something today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jan. Thank you for responding to our invitation. We appreciate it. As a chapter, we are committed to building strong networks across the globe so that the coaching sector in Ghana can also learn from existing chapters and the experiences they've gathered. Dr. Khalid Al-Bakar, if I got your last name right, before I damage it, a brief about you. He is the chapter president for ICF Bahrain.
Yeah, thank you very much. I would like to welcome all of you and express my gratitude for the invitation and my happiness to be among this group of people discussing such an important issue. I'm from Bahrain, a very small country. If you know Bahrain, can you raise your hand just quickly? Only 1, 2, 3. I can tell 4. Okay. you've been securing 100 out of 100 in geography lessons when you were kids, huh? Because it's very difficult to find Bahrain on the map, even if you know where it is existing. It's a very small country, rich with its people and their spirit, a population of 1.5 almost. The coaching community is growing. We have a steady chapter here in Bahrain. We do have our impact on the coaching profession in Bahrain and in the region of the Gulf countries with our contributions and participation in their events. I would like today to express my appreciation for opening such a topic, because I'm one of the believers that every action, there is a reaction. So for a male dominating societies for a long time, the reaction was quite the opposite, empowerment for the other part. And always what happens that this shift cause imbalances. So it has to do with the wise people who recognize those imbalances and try to rectify and make life better for everyone. I would like to talk about this topic because I believe that the coaching has the power to transform lives, especially for men who often face unique challenges in navigating well-being, leadership, and personal growth. So let's unfold this discussion later on, and I would love to hear from all of you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Khalid. It's a beautiful one. We'd love to visit Bahrain one day. The chapter want to do something with Bahrain chapter also. We have, I mean, he needs no introduction when it comes to coaching on the continent. I mean, yet we need to give honor to whom honor is due. Dr. Dumisani is the board chair of ICF Global Enterprise, and we were honored to have him at our launch in May. So having him here again on such an August International Men's Day, it's humbling that he could squeeze us into his busy schedule. I remember when we first texted, he looked at his calendar and said it was tough, but for this team's sake, he will be here. And here we are. Dr. Dumisani, please do us the honors. Share a bit about you to us.
Thank you, Scofrey. Thank you, Doc. I really appreciate the invitation. It's such an honor and a privilege to be here and to speak to fellow coaches and fellow humans about a subject that's very, very, very important. I want to acknowledge and appreciate Ghana chapter and the fact that I had the privilege again to be in person, present in the room at the launch of this one of the newest babies of chapters doing incredible things. So thank you for the leadership, for the rest of the Ghana chapter, for your leadership and what you're doing for the coaching profession. So thank you very much for that. And thank you, Jan and Khaled. It's good to be doing this with you and everyone here. I've got one of my own brothers here, Dr. Mo Monges. We come a long way, and we are elders now in our lives, what we do. So it's good to join a panel of elders. Jan, you're talking about you're on the 6th floor, right? 6th floor? I'm not sure. Khaled, I see some gray. I don't know what floor you're on, but yeah, I'm around there too. So yeah. So these are elders talking here. So very, very important. And so by way of introduction, I've already said I'm an elder. So yeah, it's a true one. Dr. Moore always says that too. So yeah. We are elders, many of us. If you're over 40, 50, you're now an elder, you can't escape it. But what kind of elder are you? Very important question. So I am male and human, and I am married to one wife. I have 3 biological children, and I have many other children that call me Papa or Dad or Father, Uncle, and that. And I take that very seriously. So that's my role as a man in my community. And I coach leaders around the world, and just finished a 2-day session now, 2 days, 4 hours each day, just in half an hour ago before we started. Team coaching is part of what I do now more often than not. And another way of introducing myself is to say that I don't do coaching. I am a coach. So it's not a hat I put on and take off. Like now I'm a coach. Now I'm not. I don't do that. It's I am a coach, and I'm a coach. I'm a coach. I'm a coach. And yeah, to the point, my 15-year-old daughter now and then say, "Dad, I'm not your client. I'm your kid." Yes, and I will still coach you. Yeah, but the thing is, we are human. That's why I put that in my name. So I'm not a robot. We have many so-called other beings that are technical beings that are present now in our space, and we need to be aware of that. I didn't see any one of them listening here or taking notes here today, Scoffrey, so I'm not sure if you shut them up or what you did. The AI that's there. So I'm proud to be here with you and looking forward to it. And I'm not here representing ICF or any organization. I'm here as a fellow human and looking forward to learn from each other as we have a dialogue on impact and lessons on International Men's Day. Thank you.
Thank you all very much, panel. I am going through the names to acknowledge the audience we have here. Dr. Mongezi, I see you on screen. He is a brother. I love the time we got to spend when I was in SC last year, so I appreciate that moment we had. Alexandra Neves from Luxembourg, she is the chapter president also there. Thank you for all the support. Katrina Dankwa, member in the chapter. Irene Puku also, she lives in the UK, but member of the chapter. Jeremy Solomon, Jeremy, I think you are in Rwanda, if my memory serves me right. He really duly follow what we do, and we say thank you for the support and partnership. We have Kwesi Owusu Asumanin, he is part of the chapter but lives in the UK. We have Lizzie Ann, part of the chapter, Margaret Jackson, Michelle. Then we have Godwin Benefo also in France. So today's dialogue is indeed a reflection of Africa, Europe, and Middle East. And so far as the concerns men, indeed, then it is a subject matter of importance. Patrick is also part of the board of directors of the chapter. Emily Inwanko, the vice president, and Biju Ate, the secretary in charge of the chapter. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here celebrating men, and we will take and set the ball rolling. The context for today's dialogue is in 4 thematic areas, and in as much as our panel will be throwing more light from their personal experiences, it is at a point where members on this can also share their perspective and experiences. And just to announce that the session is being recorded and it is live on YouTube, the ICF Ghana chapter link, and I've shared it across other multiple platforms too. So just to let you know, for this disclosure purposes, we are live. Let me start with you, Dr. Dumi. When you look at your life with coaching and the leaders that you have had the privilege to be part of, co-creating the life they desire and they wish for, what is your broader insight on culture nuances when you coach male clients?
Thank you. I'm going to start answering this question with an anecdote. Some almost 20 years ago, I was coaching one manufacturing company in Johannesburg, South Africa. And there were about 11 executives, 12 with the CEO, but it wasn't part of the coaching. I thought, no, I don't need this. My people need that. As then coaching was not very common then. And one of the people that had chosen to work with me is one of the CFOs, a woman, and she was the only one on the executive team. And she said, this is one of those male things that a male CEO is saying that we all need coaching. And I'm the only woman on the exco. And I have to say yes again to one more of these male things that what's wrong? Do we not have enough? I'm a chartered accountant. I'm experienced, so I'm doing this thing. And now I have to come and sit with another man as my coach and do this thing. So she initially was resistant to it. She said, I chose you because of this Ubuntu thing that you coach with and this emotional intelligence, and thinking that maybe you'll be, So, and 12 sessions later, the 14, if we count the other ones, she asked to have at the end of the year. She's now she became the company's advocate for coaching and leading coaching in it. But that's by the way. She didn't want to coach in the first place, but she wanted it as I'll do it because it's part of my KPIs, and as Expo, we must all have coaches. But she took on to it like a duck to water. She flew with it and loved it. But the perception of male dominance in these spaces and organizations is always looms large. It's always right there. And what I've seen, what I've had to do personally is to self-calibrate when I interact and engage both male and female, young and old leaders in organizations in such a way that I don't force myself or my masculinity into those spaces, that I manage myself in a way that I can be impactful in what I do as a leader, as a coach, as a practitioner, and mainly as a human being. I bring more the humane side to the work I do, and the work that I show up as, the being part. There's a doing and there's a being part, and this that. So I always make a conscious effort not to impose myself using any of stereotypes or attributes that I come with. I walk into a room, you will see that I'm beautiful dark chocolate. And don't focus on that. Yes, I know I'm tall, dark, and handsome and all that. Don't focus on that. Just engage. Let's engage and find each other where we are. So I work on conscious greeting, so that you find each other in that moment of negotiation right there in the moment. That's very important to me. So in my experience, I've noticed that how we are and how we carry ourselves has a massive impact before we even engage with our clients or the whole system or team, whoever we're engaging with. We need to make sure that whatever we do, whether you're facilitating, your coaching, your training, that then those things that lend themselves more to stereotype are carefully managed way even before you actually do your whatever it is you're there to do. And that is part of being emotionally intelligent as a leader. And we have no choice but to watch ourselves in that. Because my power as a leader comes through in engagement. Sometimes you carry it without you realizing it. And there's religion, there's culture, gender, all kinds of things. Age is a big one now. Tech savviness is another one now. But every time, for me, the beginning of this conversation is notice how you come across and how you're received. Calibrate yourself well enough. It's an engineering team, but it's a beautiful one. Self-regulate so that you enable the co-creation of space for everyone to show up with the brilliance that comes through them. Because we're all unique, all 8 billion plus of us. I'll start with that.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dumisani. This is very deep. Your foundation is well laid. Be sensitive, be aware, be emotionally, humanly intelligent, so we don't carry those unconscious biases and stereotypes into the room, into the lives of clients who come our way. And what I take away is, let's be sensitive by not taking our male patriarch dominance into the coaching profession we are in, and it can become difficult barriers to break into. That is amazing. That is amazing, Dr. Khalid. Just to pick up from where Dr. Dumisani left, the sensitivity as male coaches going into the market in the lives of leaders. We don't choose the clients that come our way. We go prospecting, and companies or individuals come to us. What are the cultural dynamics and nuances that you have experienced when it comes to the career as a coach?
It's a sensitive one. And again, this is a matter of perception based on experience, based on knowledge, based on contact. I believe that cultural nuances in coaching men and for men as coaches, one of the angles that we can look at it is the regional attitudes toward vulnerability and expression. In regions like the Middle East, and I believe to some extent Eastern Europe, societal norms often discourage emotional expression. Coaches can approach sensitive topics by emphasizing resilience and strength, aligning with cultural accepted values. Another angle from my relationships and contact with my African colleagues, sharing this, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. Building trust in African context is very important, and it's crucial. As in some African cultures, hierarchical relationships are highly respected. And I can quote Dumi when he said, I'm being recognized as a papa, as a father. So it gives you something in that context. Okay, it means something to people there. Coaches can establish rapport by demonstrating respect for traditional values, which foster a culturally adaptive and respectful coaching experience. Moreover, in this regard, overcoming the stigma in coaching, men in various cultures may resist seeking coaching due to the stigma around self-improvement seen as a sign of weakness. Framing coaching as a strength building or leadership enhancement tool can resonate more strongly. And we can link this to the impact of coaching on men well-being overall. And I don't know if I'm going ahead of myself or that's enough for the cultural nuances, the impact. We will talk about it later on. I'll leave it to you, and I leave the opportunity for Jan to chip on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc. A part of your last sentence strike a very deep chord, that when a lot of leadership, mostly, like you said, men hear about suggestion of coaching to them here and there, it's as if there is a weakness, there is something broken about them, there is something that needs to be fixed about them. So when they even come, they only come because it is part of KPI. It's something that must be met. It is to tick a box. Whilst you, the coach, you go in with holding the space for possibility to emerge, there is already a subliminal unconscious wall of no, I'm not broken. There's nothing wrong with me. Well, I'm told I'm broken, so come and fix me. Whilst coaching is not for fixing people. That statement of yours is quite very profound, and thank you for bringing that to the debate. Jan, the dynamics of cultural nuances, executive coaching from the Eastern Europe experience and other experiences you have had in your coaching career.
Yes, maybe two things first. I consider Norway part of the Western Europe. as we were talking about geography earlier, and maybe I can jump on the point of looking for a coach. As a man, I might think I know male coaches well because we can relate in a certain way. But that might not be the case, probably not. Not all men are the same. And the vision you have for a male coach is bound to be skewed, I think. So, and a male looking for a coach in my country is probably different from one looking in your country. A fun fact on the geography side is that roughly we are 5,000 kilometers to the closest one of the four of us. I measured this morning. So, I mean, I'm near the North Pole and Dumi is close to the South Pole, you know, general terms. So opposite ends of the world, and it's bound to be different just in terms of where we are geographically. That's a difficult word. I'll not try it again. Opposite parts of the world. So, but what we unites us, and I think it's been mentioned already, you know, we are colleagues, we are, well, first of all, male colleagues, husband, father, perhaps, friends, part of some kind of society, club, etc. And I think that one of my thoughts coming in here is that it creates a different kind of mentality, perhaps, on a different level than regional level, because these are universal, the roles we take on. You know, first we are a son, then we might become a father, husband, etc. And if you think about those who want to find a coach, there are different aspects what they might be looking for. I mean, in life, we all look for acceptance and belonging. But in a coach, maybe someone's inspiration, affirmation, maybe even disruption. And others, I think that was also partly mentioned, that looking for quick fixes and problem solving. And, you know, yeah, coaching is good as a man, you know, but I will restrict it to, you know, more I can't find the word now, less of feelings and more rational type of help. Not sure if I answered your question now, but those were some of my thoughts on the topic.
Yeah, and thank you very much. I think one thing that came out from your submission is about mentality. And I think it goes to reinforce what Dr. Dumi initially also mentioned, that we need to be sensitive as coaches, what we go into the lives of clients. If we are not mentally conscious, like you mentioned, I noticed that mental then understanding that if you go into the life of a man, some way, somehow, he was once upon a time a boy, once upon a becoming a man, then moved into, let's say, a husband. He's a leader. So those, I would say, this systemic way we have partitioned life phases cut across no matter what, yet there could still be the underlining culture nuances, as Dr. Khalid mentioned. So when you go into the life of a client, what I am hearing all of you say is that it is a mishmash. Like there are things beneath the very human being before you that we get to be, or we need to be very, very sensitive about. Before we take the next set of questions, Dr. Mongezi, anyone here with anything to add before we go back to the panel? Any additions, please? those from the, yes, Jan?
Maybe I can just, one reflection that came to mind when you said that is, I think from both male and female coachees, I hear, I chose you because you were male. So I'm not sure if there's a difference. I don't have any statistics on this, but probably the opposite is true as well. I chose you because you were a female. So I've heard, just personally, I've heard this argument being used. We didn't elaborate on it, but yeah, just as a short input.
Thank you very much. From the panel, Jeremy is asking, is there anyone here with the experience of having coached a transgender male or a transgender client in that regard? Then also, yeah, before we come back to the panel, anybody with any input inside that wish to share on this particular area of cultural nuances that we encounter on the job as male coaches with male clients, with female clients, how we go into those spaces. Anyone to just share a thing or two? Dr. Mongezi, the way you have chopped your team with your please share something.
Dude, you're putting me on the spot. Me, I just came here to listen. That's all. Somebody said it's International Men's Day. There's this thing happening, and then so I hopped in. And I think first before I say anything, because I don't know if I have anything to say, but I know I want to say this. Well done on this, because I think last year I was in the US doing some work, and it was International Men's Day, and I said, "Happy International Men's Day" to someone. Like, we have a day because people didn't know, and people still don't know that there is something called International Men's Day, which in many ways speaks a lot for me to where my mind is at, and the paying attention to what many men walk in with into the room, because there is also a level of invisibility that is not necessarily acknowledged all the time, that says, well, we assume you have power because we live in a patriarchal society, so you absolutely must be that man. And as a result, many men take on that without necessarily feeling they can be anything other than that man, the social man, the man who doesn't cry, right? And so they feel weird then when they also walk into a coaching session, because, yeah, I mean, why do I need coaching? I should be amazing. I should be super. But it's fascinating the kinds of stuff that then show up in some of my coaching conversations with men that require empathy. And part of that, one of the things I picked up, for example, that's in two big ones. Divorce. I've been working quite a lot with men that are undergoing divorce, and I find one of the things we don't talk about enough is how hard divorce is on men. And if we actually opened a much wider public platform, not just about men, but about how divorce is actually very difficult and how it affects everyone, it becomes, I think we'll have a very difficult conversation about the nuances of who gets the children, the nuances of the assumptions and the, what's the word, stereotypes that we don't question and we walk into. Two, mental health issues. I think I've been running diversity programs across the world, particularly in the last year and in the last year and a half. It's fascinating. I've actually encouraged many of my clients to get over this idea around gender as a diversity issue, because it has stopped being a diversity issue a long time ago. The issue around diversity today is around how do we actually work with the nuances of differences that actually make us full and whole as humans. And one of them is, for example, is values. So I walked into a room and notice that a lot of my work is not just in South Africa, right? It's literally everywhere, 47 countries, and I find that when I walk, when we started talking about this whole issue around diversity, one lady in the room was saying, "Oh, I want to actually empower women," and I asked, "Which women?" And he said, "What do you mean, which women?" And I said, "Well, there is a nuance around the different types of women in this conversation." And as I went to go into statistics, 90%, 80%, sorry, 80% of men are likely to commit more suicide than women. Young men are actually much more annoyed about the idea that they actually can't get work anymore. So Dumi will recognize this. In old days, apartheid, when we were doing a transition from apartheid into 1994, there was affirmative action, and the Afrikaner male was excluded, and rightly so, out of the equation at that time for affirmative action. Now that affirmative action for women, what this young man would say is, "I don't even bother to submit my CV anymore because I know that it's going to be tossed aside in favor of women, of a woman." So, and as a result, it leads to the third thing, the depression that actually comes as a result of thinking, I didn't cause whatever this problem is that we are still trying to solve. So what's happening? So, and I'm being quite controversial now, I'm aware, because immediately I started saying this whole, everything as I'm saying it now, the fact that if you look at middle management, we have actually achieved a lot of equality as far as women and men are concerned. The issue is at senior management level and the kind of work we need to do with boys and girls right at the bottom in terms of how we raise boys and girls. So there's a nuanced conversation. And she changed her mind and she looked at me and said, "My God, I wasn't aware how hard it is for young men to actually get into corporate, because all I have been doing is listening to the stereotype around we need to bring more women." But you're right. We don't need to be bringing more women. We need to be bringing more people now into the organization, because at some point we need to rebalance this. One last piece. I thought I didn't have anything to say. One last piece. I think research shows that in 1999, 49% of young men had a friend that they can confide in. What has happened since then is, if they did the study in 2019, just before COVID, only 20% of young men actually have someone to confide in, which is really very scary, because then they have no one to actually call a friend. So while we are doing all of these events and all of the work that we're doing in terms of correcting the nuances of the imbalances of the past, we need to really start asking the question, when will we start thinking more nuanced and thinking about humans? And then the idea, and Jumi has put it in the chat, the idea of masculinity versus maleness, which is a gender, versus an energy, the idea of femininity, which is energy, versus femaleness, should start becoming a really important conversation, because one of the last things I see in my coaching conversations with men is there is a whole idea of the disconnect between how men are not allowed to be both masculine and feminine, which actually is how we are all designed. We have both of the energies in all of us, male and female. I've coached one female coach, for example, and at some point she confessed, because we're working now at a spiritual level, and we started having a conversation around, I said, "But you are male." I said, what do you mean I'm male? I'm my gender. I said, no, you are a boy. To your father, from a spiritual perspective, you have been meant to be a boy, and that's the way you live. When you walk into the boardroom, watch how men deal with you. They actually were dealing with her as an equal because of her masculine energy. And she wasn't saying, I'm the boss. She actually didn't even notice it. But in the opposite, there are men in the boardrooms who show up in the feminine energy. We are not paying attention to them because what we are paying attention to is the stereotype of the masculine, the maleness, which is the gender. I'm gonna stop there. I'm hoping I've been controversial enough.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mo. We established that this is a dialogue. It's not supposedly some woo-woo stuff. It is a dialogue where male coaches get to share their encounter in the line of duty. And this is an insight you've brought to bear. And earlier on, Dr. Dumi had shared that where we've jacketed leadership to be male, we've jacketed nurturing to be female. So we are not able to create that yin yang, that male, those energies, so that we are able to develop and promote growth. So our next line of question, I will start with you, Dr. Dumi, so that you can expatiate on what you had in the chat. Is Dr. Mogezi, you mentioned like divorce, depression. What do we coaches, Dr. Dumi, do you encounter in the area of wellness or well-being of clients or male clients you come across? Because when you read the statistics, it's quite damning. And it's the same people you want to look up to make the defining decisions, the creativity and everything. But when it comes to their well-being, we sort of soften it because we think that it is a soft aspect of life men shouldn't look at. What are some of the themes that comes up in the line of well-being when you encounter your male clients?
Beautiful question. And thank you, Dr. Mo. Thank you so much for that. You covered some absolutely beautiful points. So what I'm encountering in my journey as a practitioner, as a coach, I call myself more a people whisperer. I've been described like that. The client described me like that and kind of stuck. People whisperer, what the hell is that? Yeah, excuse me. The point I'm making is we are all capable of more than we can imagine. And what I've met around coaching encounters with male coaches and female coaches around well-being is men that are pushed almost relentlessly to be heroes, to be, this masculine stereotype, as Dr. Mo is saying. You must lead, don't cry, do this, you must be strong, you must have courage, you must be brave. Nothing can stand in your way. You're a man, you must go out there and conquer and win and take out anyone who stands in your way and even be violent, there's so much violence. Poverty is the worst kind of violence, and it's mentally so. And then if you show any signs of being nurturing to your team members, if you're a leader, you're weak. You show compassion and empathy and caring and nourishing relationships. Like you're a wimp. You're a sissy. You shouldn't be that. You should be strong. I've coached recently one of my clients who's a CEO of a major company. The challenge that he sits with right now, and this is real because this is happening now, is that he joined the company about over a year ago, and the beginning of last financial year, which is beginning April last year, and it's been over a year and a half now or so. And his performance review is brilliant, it's glossy. The only thing that's missing is that people are saying, if someone described him as a robot, because he's almost mechanical, and he says, it's the first time I've been described like that, because I consider myself a human leader who nourishes relationships, engages with people, and is in touch with people as they grow, and I want that. So it knocked him off. So we had 3 coaching sessions on this one topic. I want to be more humane. I do not want to be a robot. I do not want to be, and that. So he's suffering mentally. His own persona, how he sees himself, it's just hit against a wall around that, with one piece of feedback from one of his direct reports. And the reason for that is because it's clashing with what he's seen as based against what he sees himself as. And this is what Dr. Monges was describing. About what a woman is, what a man is, the energy you carry and that you exude. And the impact of that is it's mental well-being, and it's very corrosive on a leader's personal power and ability to build relationships. Because really, leadership is relational. It's about how you build your relationships. So what this CEO is working on now, after those 3 sessions on this particular topic, is one, to partially ignore the label of what is it, what have is a robot, a machine, or mechanical in my engagement, and become more humane in Howard, which he resonates with more. And what he didn't realize is that most of that, he had KPIs that he wanted to do in the first year, and it was brilliant. He shot through all the targets, got a big fat bonus, but got knocked off by one description of that. How many times do we do that? And the impact of that on us as leaders, as coaches, when someone describes you as this or that, how do you take it? We carry so many labels, and we put so much weight on how people describe us that we lose sight of who we are. So the message and the call and the invitation is we need to stay grounded. I think someone mentioned values, Dr. Monges. What are your values, your behaviors, your attributes, and those things that you show up with in the spaces you show up in? What are those things that carry you authentically as you are? What are those things that you show up with that define who you are, and not the persona and not the masks? Because not just one, it's several masks that people wear depending on the situation they deal with. We need to be authentic. We need to be real, and we need to be ourselves. Because one last thing, young people now are choosing their first encounter with a coach to be a bot or an algorithm, a machine. It's because they feel too judged by human coaches. And they feel that a machine is programmed. It won't judge them like that. Now, think about that. That's someone eating our lunch, eating your lunch right there, taking your clients. So how humane can you be with the onslaught of someone taking your lunch? We need to partner with AI, with technology, in a way that enhances the work that we do in this profession. And we need to work together with technology in that. So it's very, very important, because our mental well-being depends on it.
Incredible. Thank you. That is very profound submission, Dr. Dumi. That's very insightful. Dr. Khalid,
Yes.
from your space, your region, and we are under the region of Europe, Africa, and Middle East. What are the themes, the common themes that you encounter if you coach men that comes under the umbrella well-being? Because the statistics that I've stated, it's not good. There's nothing to write them about when it comes to the statistics on the male well-being. There's nothing good about it to them. What shows up in the area of their value, their purpose, their humanness? What shows up? One
of the major phenomena that we have, I would say this openly and I would share it openly, that men tend to claim, at least where I am in our region, whether they say it or whether they don't say it directly, they know it all. There is nothing to be added. They understand the issue, they know the solution, whatever solution that they would reach with you, they have tried it before over and over and over. It's a new branch of science when it comes to coaching men in this part of the world. I don't know how many regions do share this with us, but this is the major obstacle that we're facing right now. How are we planning to educate men about what is true coaching? And by saying this, I'm not trying to depict men in a very bad image or shape. No, because we've seen men during our training for coaches that they are shedding tears and it's crying when you are discussing topic. You try to move forward and you dig deeper and they understand that they don't know it all. The revelation all happens during those moments. And then you get the buy-in. So it needs work, but it's not that bad. And in my country, specifically Bahrain, because it's a smaller country, and for smaller countries, usually cultural transition happens quicker, faster, more smoothly. Diversity is encouraged and welcomed. So the gap between actually where I work, the pyramid has been flipped. 70% of the employees are female, and when it comes to leadership, it's almost 85% of leadership, whether senior or middle management, are females. We cannot claim that we have an issue when it comes to imbalances toward men or women. As I started at the beginning, for us, it's time to rectify what's happening. How am I and my colleagues here in the chapter trying to increase the buy-in for men? We're relying on clarifying the impact of coaching on men's well-being overall. Like, for example, mental health and emotional resilience. Research indicates that men often benefit from having safe, secured spaces to address challenges, with the studies showing reduced stress and anxiety, like the one that has been published in Journal of Men's Health. Coaching helps men access self-reflection skills, and we are lacking on this regard. We take things for granted, whether it's history, whether it's culture, whether it's by design. But the enhancing resilience and emotional regulation can be helped and improved through coaching. This is one aspect that we're emphasizing. Another aspect that we're emphasizing is that career growth and job satisfaction usually is overlooked by men. In my culture, you're a man, don't talk about it, okay? My wife always talk about every single tiny thing that happened in her work, and for me, no, you switch off when you leave work, you go home. I don't know which one is right, which one is wrong, because she's always venting and she's healthy, perfect, touch wood. And I'm the one who's getting disease after disease, sickness after sickness. I'm not feeling well. But by the end of the day, coached men report higher career satisfaction and leadership effectiveness, as seen in some studies published by HBR, Harvard Business Reviews, discussing coaching role in career advancement can appeal to men. And I tried this myself. They saw the benefit of it, and because usually they have this in it of prioritizing professional success over personal growth sometimes, or both together, but when they are related to career. The third and last point I would like to share in this regard is, and what we're trying to emphasize, one of the major impacts of coaching on men's overall well-being is it helps to reduce the social isolation. Coaching can reduce feeling of loneliness. Men often lack supportive networks. When we go and sit together, we want to laugh, we don't share problems, we don't talk about it. If I'm unhappy with you, if I'm feeling something, I'm not gonna talk about it. Usually it's like this. But during safe, controlled environment like a coaching session, coaching can reduce feeling of loneliness. It can create this supportive network. Data published on APA, or the American Psychological Association, highlights social isolation is a key issue, as Dr. Monges shared moments ago, is a key issue in men's mental health, and coaching offers structured support and accountability to bridge such a gap. So by managing to show men how coaching can be helpful and impactful in these aspects, we are reaching out for men here in my region at least. We started to see a greater affiliation percentages when it comes to board chapters, members within the chapter itself. So it's an improvement for us, and we will continue doing this. But men's know-it-all, I don't think it's applicable or correct anymore, as you shared, everyone. And the attributes, characteristics, feelings, knowledge, experience, everyone has an equal access these days. You cannot claim anything over the other gender. But by the end of the day, building on each other's success, trying to live and coexist with each other, understanding each other, can help us to move. One last issue that I want to highlight, and maybe the audience can confirm me right or wrong once the Q&A open time. Men tend to wear the expert and advisor consultant hat alongside the coach more than women. The capacity of listening, from what I observed from the coaches that I trained, naturally before they go through the whole training of how to be coach, when they join at the beginning, they immediately try to jump with the solution. Maybe it's something linked with we know it all, okay? But women, they tend to listen more. So I believe that every gender and every human being here can offer something to the other part to learn from, to adapt, and to be a better human and a better person by the end of the day. I hope that I satisfied your question. Thank you.
That's amazing submissions there. I mean, you've widened it enough to bring in other aspect of our discussion today, and it's beautiful how you box it all up. Yeah. If I've not had the privilege of coaching somebody from Europe or America, some of the well-being dynamics, even though the statistics says men, 92% men go through dangerous jobs. So those statistics, it cut across. It's not something that you can wear it regional band. It also says that men are 4 times more likely to commit suicide. It is not regional specific. It cut across as a global phenomenon. So when it comes to the well-being, you cannot just wear it regional jacket, but support systems as coaching. How is Europe, especially from the male perspective, receiving coaching from your practice or your experience?
Well, connecting to Dr. Khalid and his experience of I know it all. It's quite different here in Western Europe, at least. I see that many are open. There's still some skepticism, but many are open, and absolutely most are not know-it-alls. There's a challenge. I mentioned to the board last week that we had a board meeting, and I said I'm taking part in this dialogue next week, and they said yes. Well, we better bring up the inability of men to talk about feelings. So I totally agree with that aspect, and that that hinders topics to be put on the plate, as it were. I'm not sure if I see. I mean, I see some of the same challenges with male and female clients. For instance, I haven't done the statistics yet, but I'm about to embark on making statistics on topics. But things like time management, well-being, balancing your time, is up to 90% of my clients, but both female and male. And connecting to what I started with, excuse me, you also see the older generation male could bring up imposter syndrome type of topics. Doesn't matter how much you achieved when you get into a new environment, a new job, whatever. Yes, the young population, they often bring it up, but it's not a strange topic also for the older generations. If I may connect to some of the topics as a closing argument here from Dr. Dumi, tough males, no compassion, and try to be as controversial as Dr. Mo. What about females adapting male behavior, supposedly male behaviors, and not only the good parts of it? I see that also happening. And they feel they're sort of caught in this world where they need to behave in a certain way, a male way. And I'm sure some are comfortable with it, but many are not comfortable with. I know this is about men, but I'm looking also from the other side, and I see females also trying to adapt, fit in, and perhaps not being so happy about taking on certain roles, certain behaviors that they feel they have to.
Wow. Wow, that dimension you threw into this discussion is quite also profound, because imagine you sit before a female client, and by the environment she needs to embody a masculine mindset in a way that she must match up boot for boot with the masculine nomenclature of, let's say, board or C-suite, yet unable to bring forth her uniqueness as her feminine energy. It's quite a profound, like a pin you drop into the beautiful discussion we are holding. Before I bring in the audience on this discussion, there is a statistics from ICF. Let's point that as our participant come on. There's a statistics from ICF. 72%, as in 2022, coaches are female. 72% coaches are female. The breakdown: Africa and Middle East, 2019, 66% were female. 2022, 72% of coaches in Middle East and Africa are female. Asia, 59. Eastern Europe, 78. Just oppose it to how the global leadership also look, where most of leadership across board is also masculine or male. How can we as coaches or male coaches become the kind of coaching role models that can bring on board a lot of men into the coaching fold? Because we all know this universe is a balanced universe. It's a yin yang. The energies are balanced. No matter, so anytime there is an imbalance, there is something that affects the universe in a way, affects our humanity. So before we go there, then wrap all this conversation up, our participants, our sisters, our female coaches on the call, any input from you? If you can show by hand, if you're not on video, I will struggle to see you, but let me go to the participants list. And if there's anyone who wants to, all that you've heard this experienced coaches share in their line of duty in all those topics before we go to the final conclusion, as I have thrown it in. Any input you have, any question, any something that is bubbling up for you? Yes, Alexandra.
Hi. Well, first of all, thank you so much for this wonderful panel. So I want to react on women taking a more masculine role and men taking a more feminine role. I think there is obviously an imbalance, and the imbalance comes from historically the fight for equality at the workplace and at the social sphere for women did not have a parallel fight for the place for men in the other spheres. So women are now as respected as men at work, in politics, in every social sphere, but men are not as respected as women in the familiar sphere, in the caretaking sphere, in a child care. And that imbalance is what, in my opinion, is bringing so much conflict and mental health issues. And let me just, I saw something in the chat fast. Something about downgrading. I don't think it's about downgrading women or downgrading men. Being more active in caretaking for a child or elder parents is not downgrading, is assuming a role in society that has been historically denied to half of a population, and it's not fair, because most of our purpose and sense and mental health and validation comes from the connections we establish with our peers, with our children, with our parents. And if we are excluding half of the population from that sphere, it's as unfair as excluding half of the population from the political and social and business sphere.
Thank you. That's beautiful, Alex. Irene?
Can I, before Aaron comes in, Alexandra, that comment was not for what you said. It was in general around that women need to have masculine roles. And I'm an advocate for that everyone needs to be authentic and be themselves. And women, I believe, that was a light-hearted moment in just saying women should not try to be like men, because that's a downgrade on women. Women are amazing. Yeah. So they shouldn't downgrade to be like men.
And that's a trap we created for ourselves, because as we occupied the social and business sphere, we did not let go of all the other spheres. So we have this superwoman myth that is hurting our mental health, and yours, obviously, everyone's mental health is connected.
Thank you. Beautiful submission, Dr. Dumi. Irene.
Thank you very much. I'm so glad I really enjoyed the discussion, and it brought to the fore how different cultures view coaching, because I've got men and women clients, and there were so many aspects that have been highlighted here that I've never observed. And so it was quite interesting to hear, and probably it would shape the work that I do as I move on to coach individuals in different continents. What I have noticed, which is peculiar, is how culture affects, different views based on the region that I'm coaching. But in terms of how women perceive coaching as well as compared to how men perceive coaching, that was an interesting view for me. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Any other from our sisters?
Hello, Scoffrey. Okay.
Patrick, hold on. I want to get at least we've jammed the conversation, and now I just want cautiously balancing the.
Okay. No problem.
Our female coaches here. If you have any insights, I can see Katrina is here. Irene, you've spoken. Alexandra, you have also. Who else is here? Michelle, Margaret. If you have anything to add to the submission before we go to Patrick and move to the last part of the discussion. We have 10 minutes just to wrap up. Okay, Patrick, you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. I really enjoyed the discussion. When we talk about men and women, I think the problem will start with how we are raised. I did a training with a group in South Africa called The World Need a Father. And where I realized that men identity and women identity start from home. When the father is present, confirm the identity of who they are. This we are talking about. Women want to become like a man. Men will become like women. It's so from home. So what we are discussing is, okay, there is a problem to be solved, but what could we do as men, especially as fathers, started raising our children? So if the foundation is laid well, when they grow up, they will not have this challenge. I think I will bring in that most of the parents are not doing what is supposed to be done. When the children, when men and women, for example, they say, okay, ladies, when they were growing up, their identity, who they are, mostly are affirmed by the father. If the gaps there is not filled, that lady, when she's growing up, she's defined by the society, which she's not supposed to be. So I'm bringing the discussion to the source. When I saw the topic, what spoke to me was, okay, what can I do as a father? How can I help my daughter and maybe my son to help him to have a healthy identity? Who is he? I'm the one play that role. If every man here is playing that role, we are solving a problem in the future. Because if I have a daughter, I will play that role in her life. Every day, when I did that training, every day I told my daughter, you are the most beautiful lady. She heard it so much that that's confidence she has it. And she will not try to be like another person. That identity crisis, we men, we can start that work from home, playing that role. And I love what Dr. Dumi said. People call him Papa. Most of the time when they are calling him Papa, because the real Papa was not there. If the real Papa is there, he will play his role, because the real Papa has left. Maybe his place, they need to find another Papa, which most men are playing that role, which is good. But we men, we need to take our responsibility to learn how to raise our boys. They become men. How to raise our daughters. They become ladies, confident, who don't want to become a man, but they have like a healthy self-esteem. So for me, it's where I'm bringing a discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Beautiful, beautiful submission. As we are wrapping up the conversation, I raised some statistics in here. The balance, how do we model ourselves as coaches, male coaches, to bring in more male to support this path we are on. I had a situation where a client specifically said, no, I am a man, and this particular contest, I wish to have a male coach who may understand some of the dynamics of what it takes for a man to go through some of these things. And that was when it touched me. Okay, so looking at the statistics, 72% of global coaching is by women. Dr. Dewey.
Yeah. I know we have about 7 minutes. Are we putting our wrap up here? Because I've got a quick final statement I wanted to make before we wrap up. Is that where we are? Sorry, you're muted.
Please go ahead. We may have some 5 minutes to just dot around. We started about 10 minutes late, so we can.
Right. Thank you. The point I wanted to make is we need to be careful that we do not. I like what Patrick said, and I want to build on that. That they are. We need to remember where we are. Coaching is inherently contextual. So I know that if we look at the history of coaching now, the so-called modern coaching, because coaching has been with humanity since the dawn of time. So it's not Timothy Galloway and the inner game of tennis, golf, or whatever sport he was talking about. Coaching has always been with human beings everywhere. So it's not a new thing. We know that. My grandfather was a coach. He never saw the inside of a classroom, but he was the smartest man I've ever met. So it's important for us to look at it where it is, where we are, and undo some of those myths about what coaching is and what it can do. We need to look at it where human beings are. We're in the digital age now. There are machines that are coaching better than some certified coaches. We need to think about that. What kind of coach do we want? Are those machines male or female? Who cares? Things we need to think about what it is that we want to do as a profession that's growing, that's experiencing exponential growth, and that is needed more now than ever before. This is why celebrating and commemorating the value and the power of what men bring to the table is very important. But we need to be aware that it's everything. Patrick, is it what I said?
Yes,
maybe not. But the point I want to make, recorded or not, is that we are in a very fast-paced change environment, and we need to change faster than the changes around us. So we need to be aware that things are happening fast right now. So we need to be relevant, take into account the context we're in. And female coaches, Dr. Monges has covered it beautifully. It's the energies in the room, even right here. What are you leaning towards? Male, female energy? Does that matter to a client? Things. What value am I bringing to the table right now? For me, it comes down to that. Are you value adding or wasting time for the client? Male or female? Doesn't matter. You didn't kick out Scoffrey, did you? All right, let's see it.
He was angry with both of you.
Let's Khaled and Jan quickly. We've got 4 minutes, so we need to give others a chance, and Dr. Moore a chance to wrap up on that.
Dumi, you struck me today like amazing, wonderful, very wise guy. And I hate to disagree with wise people, and I have to disagree with only one point.
Yes.
Statistics do matter. And it tells you something. Part of the story is qualitative, it's the narrative, and the other part is quantitative as well. So if you have this misrepresentation when it comes to men's or future boys to become men, not going into the profession, the balance is skewed. And it's a natural skew here in this case. So I would wrap up with the 3 messages that for men as coaching to be role models for young boys, mentorship and positive modeling
Yeah.
Men who serve as coaches can model healthy emotional intelligence, resilience, and a growth-oriented mindset for young boys. You are a living example, Dumi, of this with the
Yeah.
introduction that you shared at the beginning when you said,
Yeah.
when you spoke about your daughter. So when we give these examples, and this resonate to what Patrick just shared, when we role model these things,
Yeah.
coaching as per se, even within our family, we are going to make a difference. And the role modeling and positive male role modeling, as per demonstrated by research, do have lasting impact on boys' self-esteem and empathy. The other point is promoting balanced gender roles. Men who model vulnerability, humility, and empathy in professional settings help redefine societal expectations of masculinity, showing boys and other young boys and other men that leadership and emotional intelligence can coexist. And this is again a message that has been shared during this conversation today. Lastly, supporting long-term goals, encouraging males to be coaches, to see their work as part of a greater legacy that shapes the next generation, can help. Integrating mentorship with coaching not only adds value, but also supports a well-being of young males who look up to these role models. So we do have a lot to do. And hopefully this conversation would encourage us to stay connected and keep informing each other of how we push this agenda further. Thank you very much for listening.
We're in agreement, Khaled. We are in agreement. Absolutely.
Thank you. Jan?
Yes. So you mentioned some statistics. I just checked this morning, and 82% of the coaches in Norway are female. I then thought I'll connect that to part of my coachee base for the past year or two. And there were about 65% male clients. That makes an imbalance. I mean, I don't know if my statistics represents the country statistics or the world statistics of where the clients are based. We can probably find that out, but I'm sure there's an imbalance between how easy it is for men to choose male coaches. It might be difficult in many places. And then there was this mention of being role models, and maybe question, should we be role models in the way of, you know, not everyone wants to be or are interested in and maybe have the talent to become a coach. Yes, you can train, but you know, there's probably something in our brain that determines that we are here today. We are interested in a certain way of being and some values and what have you. So my final point to this is that, yes, role models, but maybe not so that every young man should become a coach, but that they should learn something from the way we are dialoguing with each other.
Thank you very much, panel. We have some 2 minutes to do our last take in, like absolute wrap up, just the sound bite. We should, when I sleep and wake up, something that I can remember. And Dr. Mungezi, this one I'll start from you.
Thank you, Scoffrey. Thank you for inviting me. Well, you didn't invite me, I came in, but thank you for inviting me to talk. There's a war happening across the world. And it's crazy because it comes at a time where we are supposed to be very smart as humans. But we have resorted all to stupid behaviors because we've taught men they can't say, I'm sorry, or they can't apologize or walk away. So I think it's time for us as men to think, I'm sorry is actually a good response. I'm going to leave it there.
Dr. Dumi, your last soundbite.
I'm sorry is one, but thank you is another. And I think men need to say thank you more to the women in their lives. Thank you, Alexandra. And thank you all the ladies. Margaret, I see you. Michelle. Very, very important for us as men. Emily, yeah, I see you. Very, very important for us to be fully present in our masculinity, maleness, and know that alone we are only part. Together, we are more.
Wow. Alone we are only part, together we are more. Dr. Khalid, the last soundbite.
I think thank you, sorry, and gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
I believe we need to appreciate our coexistence, appreciate that we can learn from each other, not just singing the song of diversity, actually really deeply understand it and live it. By doing this, we will hopefully have a better tomorrow. Thank you.
Awesome. Ian?
So, yes, we are different, but there's more uniting us. I'll leave it at
Beautiful.
that.
Beautiful. On behalf of the board of ICF Ghana chapter, we want to say a very big thank you to our panel. When I reached out to you, you responded to this clarion call, 1 hour, 30 minutes of your time, in the ways of being as coaches to explore such a sensitive but very important subject matter in regards to men, in the interest of men, and in the interest of larger community. That's incredible. And Biju.
Yes, hi, thank you. Thank you to our speakers for coming through. Definitely enjoyed it. I just wanted to pop a quick message in there for those who are not ICF Ghana chapter members. If you have not sent me your full name and the email address at which you would like to receive your CCE certificate, please send me a direct message right now in Zoom so that we can mark that down. Thank you. Go ahead, President.
Great. Thank you. We don't take it for granted, the partnership your chapters are having with us as a chapter. We are a baby chapter, so this kind of connections are very important to us to keep, to nourish and nurture. Then also all the takeaways that have been shared by this amazing panel. I mean, very incredible. I mean, deeply, deeply incredible conversations and insight. We hope that we can do this again next year. I don't know if Dr. Dumi, Yan, Dr. Khalid, Dr. Mongezi, can we do this again next year? Where?
Yeah.
Thank you.
But we needed to be face to face in Ghana.
Let's do something.
And bring some young men, Scott-Frey, not the seniors.
not the elders. Not the elders. Okay. So if this is the conversation that it can be in person in Ghana, then ICF Ghana chapter, I didn't say this one. You've had your amazing panel that potentially next year make it an in-person event. I think it will become a global phenomenon that coaches meet to discuss subject matter of men. Thank you all very much. It's on our link, is in our YouTube channel. It was recorded. Whichever video is quality, we will share it with you so that you can expand this conversation. Thank you very much for giving us your time. We don't take it for granted. We are grateful.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
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 I usually hang around if there's a debrief. So that just by default, I'm here.
I also wanted to make sure a few of us finally. Emily, if you are here, Biju, any updates? Alex, what's your take? Emily, Biju, Alex, what's your take? Jan, what's your take on this?
You did an internal one. I was just wondering if the four panelists would be exploring a bit at the end. So
okay.
I'm fine with just saying goodbye and thank you very much.
Okay. All right.
We do it again next year, and
we'll do this.
We'll
Thank you,
Thank you so much.
All right.
Okay, thank you so much.
Can you come up?
It's been lovely. Yes,
Did
it's been
you?
lovely.
Right.
We couldn't have asked for more than this. Certainly. There's so many things we could have come up to say, especially as the partner of women. There's so much we could have put in here. So much we could put in there. But you know what else? One thing that I'll just share is that, you know, when you look at our natural inclination as human beings, women are naturally nurturers. We are born to be nurturers. So coaching seems to come naturally to us. It's something that we don't struggle with. It's a natural feeling.
Were we born?
So, you know, it's a natural
feeling. Conditioned so.
Alex, your line is bright. I don't know, it's from my end. I have had my internet drop for some minutes, so I don't know if it's from my end, but Alex?
Yes, no, mine too.
Okay, should I continue to finish what I was saying?
Yes.
Yes, okay, that comes naturally for women. It also comes naturally for some men, depending on how they've been raised. And you will notice that men who have been raised mostly by mothers tend to have this nurturing spirit as well, a gentleness about them. Not to say that those who have been raised by fathers only don't have it. It depends on how the father comes across or how society is carrying them along. And also women who have been raised by their fathers, some are still gentle, but some come out as tough, some come out as mixed. So it all depends on our natural inclination, plus our upbringing and our exposures over life, exposures in life. When we went to school, what did we encounter? Were we intimidated? Were we frustrated? Were we bullied? You know, when we come into the workplace, when we went to university, what was our experience? When we come into work, who do we encounter? What kind of boss did we have? Did we have a male boss who was really strict and hard on us, or who was very kind? Or did we have a female boss who thought she was a man? And, you know, and she just was never understanding, or did we have a female boss who treated everybody the same? So it depends on our life experiences when we come out as coaches. All those things combined, and then what we want to take out of it, what we want to grow into the clients that we have. What is that partnership we want to create? And what is that awareness we have of ourselves that we know we need to work on, and of ourselves that we know we can share? To co-create that kind of new being that is our client, we're trying to invoke a new awareness of themselves. How can we help them evoke that new awareness? How do we dance with them so that they come to the dancing floor and we walk away and they're still dancing? Thank you.
Yeah, Alex, any final input?
No, just that idea that I'm still not convinced that women are more naturally nurturing and men are less naturally nurturing. I think it depends so much on